Hi, I'm Hannah.
I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Taylor, and today we're going to be teaching you about conflict in female friendships.
Here's our intro. For our project, we found a few themes to be very important. One of the first themes that we saw within our articles was how men related to these female conflicts. One of the first ways that men related was competing for male attention, whether it be for dating or other instances. In the Hess et al. And Chan et al. Articles, they observed how women will compete with one another for male attention and how this will cause conflicts within their friendships. Another way that men related to these female conflicts was through competing in male-dominated fields, especially in the workforce. In the Mumtaz et al. And Shepard et al. Articles, they especially talked about this. In male-dominated workplaces, it can be especially hard for women to compete with one another, especially when they're trying to work for limited jobs that are open. There are also more severe conflicts caused by men, such as sexual assaults, and often this will lead to some conflicts within female friendships as they try to protect one another. Reed et al. Summarizes this as an important issue among all women as they try to protect one another, but still, due to sexual assaults usually caused by males, this is a serious issue that does lead to strong conflicts that are hard to be resolved.
Our next common theme was found in Doherty and Santucci's work, and they examine how emotional investment, life changes, and conflict shape female friendships in early to middle adulthood. Their research shows that major transitions in life, like romantic relationships, having children, and personal crises like jealousy, often act as turning points in female friendships that can either strengthen or weaken bonds. When these changes disrupt emotional balance or violate core expectations in friendships, the friendships sometimes fade, but we found that this was not due to just from lack of care in the friendship, but because emotional stakes are so high and women are statistically more invested in their friendships. And conflict involving betrayal or judgment tends to lead to distancing or ending the relationship, while more simple and neutral agreements are often easier to work through and typically don't lead to ending. So together, both of these studies offer insight into how the conflict dynamics work in female friendships.
The third major theme we found is that female friendships can be affected by both stress and anxiety. Anxiousness and stress play a crucial role in shaping conflict dynamics with female friendships, often leading to avoidance and emotional withdrawal. University students typically rely on compromising to resolve interpersonal tensions in close friendships, aiming to preserve harmony. This was found in the article Ergin and Anginli from 2024. However, women in particular experience heightened emotional responses during conflict, which can impair their ability to think clearly and push them to avoid confrontation altogether. And this was found in the article Comm et al. Adding to this, perceived pressure to be perfect within friendships can trigger conflict behaviors, depressive symptoms, and even problematic coping mechanisms like drinking, which was found in Kim et al. This suggests that the emotional intensity in female friendship is not only tied to stress and anxiety, but also to internalized expectations. These factors combine to create a fragile environment where unresolved tension can deepen emotional distress rather than resolve interpersonal issues directly.
For this project, we interviewed various people of different subgroups. We thought about our most common conflicts and how other people perceive this. We are all a part of a sorority, so we decided to interview our fellow sisters.
I would say about a couple of weeks ago. It was a smaller conflict. I solved it through talking it out with her, and I feel like that's how I resolve most of my conflicts, by talking things through. They definitely make me feel sad, and I get really anxious at first, wanting to solve the resolve the conflict. So, yeah, it takes a toll on me until I get it resolved.
I would say I fortunately don't have conflicts with female friends very often. I would say they're usually small. Well, usually I don't talk about them right away and I let it kind of build up, but when I do handle them, I would say I talk through them in person. I get anxious and it like stresses me out because I hate conflict and I hate addressing conflict. So I would say it makes me anxious, but then after it's resolved, I feel
I think it was a while ago, like 3 months. It kind of just started like a disagreement in opinions over something. It was a somewhat smaller conflict. We both like sat down and talked about our feelings and our opinions and our perspectives on the conflict and kind of like where our discrepancies lied and figured out how to come to a resolution that benefited both of us.
Really typically have conflicts, but I'd say like the last time was probably about a month ago. It was just a little miscommunication that one of my friends and I had. It was just small. Typically I feel quite anxious, but other than that I'm okay.
Probably a month ago. It started because I felt like she was spending more time with her boyfriend than she was with me. I brought it up to her and I told her how I was feeling and like I gave her examples and then I told her how her behavior could be changed and then we talked about it and how she felt and then yeah.
We all live with roommates as well, and so we decided to interview some of our roommates.
Every couple days. They're usually about dishes not being done or trash not being taken out. I get kind of overwhelmed, maybe just shut down in the moment, but I get over it really quick. If I do have a problem, I'll talk it out, so maybe in the end, getting to know your friend better and having a strengthened friendship.
I feel like as a college student, not that often. I feel like it's more common in like middle school or high school, but since being in college, not often. I'd say like once in a while. I'd say it's usually like stupid small stuff like not like being invited somewhere or like being included in something, but other than that, that's really it. I feel like everyday life, like I let the little stuff bother me, so it like bothers me for like a small period of time during the day, but I don't let it like ruin my whole day. I feel like in the long run it doesn't have that much of an impact. I feel like my relationships with other females stay pretty strong in the long run, so I don't let it affect me that well.
I would say like once every 2 weeks. I'd say they're usually like a misunderstanding or miscommunication or like a lack of communication. I'd say once it happens, it makes me feel sad and I'll think about it for a while, but yeah. Once it's talked about, it makes it better.
I feel like I have female conflict not that often as I have gotten older, but I definitely had my fair share when I was younger. It's just about like little stuff, or I feel like it's more often between people that you're closer with versus like people that you don't really know. So probably just like little stuff when you get on each other's nerves. I don't feel like it really impacts my daily life that much because it doesn't happen that often, but if it were to, we just kind of talk about it more as adults at this age. Like it, when the conflict is like resolved, it ultimately makes your friendship stronger because you communicated with each other and worked things out.
I have conflicts every 2 days. Random things around the house. It makes me mad and ruins my day for a little bit. It doesn't usually get over it and it's not that big of a deal, but in the moment it drives me nuts and everyone else around me. So
Not very frequently. I guess if I do, it tends to be about like differing ideas and like butting heads, I guess you could say. I feel like not very much. I'm a very open person, so I'll just tell you how it is and that's about that. I feel like it influences and impacts it in a good way because I feel like I only surround myself with people who are like-minded, so we kind of all think the same way when it comes to things like that.
As a control group, we interviewed non-sorority and non-roommate friends as well.
I would say couple times a month. Okay. I would say a mix of collaboration and compromising. I think after talking it out, it tends to make my friendship stronger because you're able to work it out.
Honestly, not really like one on one very often or like personal conflict, but I would say I hear about it with like my other friends or like teammates daily. Usually I try to like just approach it like head on or like which is really hard because I'm not a confrontational person, but usually like I'll text them and be like, hey, like what's up? I'm sorry if I like hurt you or something. And then see what they say. Definitely in high school, it was really hard. Like there was obviously like the middle school drama. I definitely lost some friends and then gained some friends, and it was just kind of obviously the cycle of like growing up as a female. But I would say yeah, I definitely have found friends now, especially in college, who don't really do the conflict, and if there is something going on, they'll just tell me or ask about it, and it's not really like a secret, I guess, and so that definitely really helps.
I have conflict probably like once a week with other females. Maybe. Not like big conflicts, but I feel like sometimes it depends on how bad the conflict is if I handle it in a certain way. If it's like heated conflict, then usually I'll like step away and then try and fix it after I like cool down. That's been my goal. I do like to like compromise, talk it out, and fix it because I don't like being angry with people. I'd like to say sometimes I used to avoid conflict sometimes, or like it would happen and then you'd pretend like nothing really happened and then like it would build up. And then that has like ruined friendships for me. So I've realized if something's wrong, then I should like say something about it and fix it before it all like piles on and then we end up not being friends because things happen.
And to answer our question as to how others perceive these conflicts, we interviewed some men as well.
I think a lot of the time when women conflict with each other, that they just get annoyed with each other, and like when they're having a bad day, they just tend to take their annoyance out and like turn into anger and take it on other people. I just think like women just spend like a lot of time together. So like even you see like friends that like spend a lot of their time together, like people living with each other. A lot of the times they just like get annoyed with each other and like they just need their alone time, but they can't always have it. So like just the annoyance turns into like anger, I'd say. I feel like it could affect their friendship in like the short run, but if they're good enough friends in the long run, I feel like it wouldn't affect it. But like a lot of times if they get annoyed with each other, they just like need a break from each other. But in like serious friendships or like families, I don't think it would like affect it in the long run, but in the short run for sure it would.
Jealousy and not being open with each other. Lack of communication with each other. By not being open with each other and confronting each other about the problems they have, it leads to bigger problems. Yes, I think men are more upfront and straightforward about it, and women tend to, like I said earlier, like hold back and wait till it becomes a bigger problem.
I'd personally say it's like kind of like group things or kind of like friendship, like interpersonal relations for most people as well. Friendship and like relationships is a really big thing. So when there's like issues, it kind of affects the whole group. So that's like it's very impactful, I'd say. I think it affects it quite a bit, mostly just because like it causes rifts between people and like certain like and like within a group, kind of split them up into like kind of like separate groups within the group almost. I think at least for men, they handle it a lot more like upfront and like direct, and they like it's a lot more like physical, where I'd say. Whereas for women, it's a lot more like you talk about it a lot more and it's more in depth compared to men.
In conclusion, we can take away many things from doing this project, but we have come up with two main conclusions, and the first is that female friendships can be very difficult to maintain, and it is normal to have conflicts with women that you are close with, and it is okay.
The second thing that we took away from this project is that conflict isn't always a bad thing, and it can help people create better bonds and friendships with one another, and it can also help strengthen your relationships and friendships in the long run. Bye guys!